guess under the law, from the descriptions we've been given, between a ban and a moratorium is either negligible or it's just semantics. Some people are hopeful that a moratorium will be easier to slip under the radar than a ban. The end result is the same. The effect of either one of those being put in place is exactly the same. It discourages the industry from looking at us as a potential partner to do business with in the future. Everybody uses fossil fuel. You have to admit that the distance from the source of that fuel to the end user, the shorter it is, the less likely there's a chance of accident. Everybody buys local, produce, handcrafts, everything local. Local energy is the way to go. And as far as the ban and moratorium, as I said, it's just being done for effect. They try to make it seem like they're not really trying to take away rights, but they're just trying to stall longer until they figure it out. The same exact thing.
So it's kind of like if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck. I guess, I heard that last night on TV. See where I gather my ammo? All over the place.
You mentioned local energy, couldn't agree more, and I think if you brought wind in here, solar, we'd support it 100%. But something that's going to potentially ruin our quality of life.
Well, you know that
But
Lisa
there's not enough
Johnson,
money.
head of the EPA, has said that there's never been one case, not one documented case, of drinking water anywhere, ever, being contaminated
But there has
by
been, and I can get
fracturing
you
fluid.
that information.
Absolutely not.
Actually, we've got 2 documented
It's
cases in
1984.
New York in the last 5 years.
Frac fluid contamination?
Not, and I do
Right.
kind of take issue with the fracking, the sole process of fracking being the
So you're
focus.
against vertical drilling as well then?
Well,
Is that right?
I'll try to explain my position, although it gets more complicated.
Can we hear
by the
from
week.
somebody from Middlefield, or from Butternut instead
Well,
of
if
Middlefield?
you don't mind, it just, and
We got
my
Butternut
position is
wanting
actually
to talk.
it's very
No, I
simple and
don't.
clear.
I wanted to respond.
I would give him my
He's
time.
not
Oh,
controlling
You
the
can
meeting.
have my
thank you,
time, thank
Coach.
you.
I was
I'm
just
from
kidding.
Butternut.
Yeah, obviously, anybody can have as much
Take
time.
my
And I'm surely not going to tell anybody what to think. Part of my thinking has been driven by what I see as a status quo that really isn't working for everyone. In New York, most of my research on the process of gas drilling, including sands and shales and the whole thing, and the whole historical thing, has been in New York. And what I find is that when things go well, they go really, really well and everybody's happy. And when things go wrong, like any other construction accident, they circle the wagon, start pointing fingers, and people get hurt with no remedy. And our DEC has been unable and unwilling, in some cases unwilling, to intervene on behalf of families that get harmed by this overall process of gas drilling. We've got some documented cases, and this is, of course, and I'm not talking about documented by environmental working group or people that you guys seem to like to throw stones at. I'm talking cases documented by the DEC themselves, and I'll be happy to share some of these documents with any of you who are, interested in that whole idea.
Sure.
And so part of what I have been trying to accomplish, and I know this is an annoyance to a lot of my friends who were all for a ban, is just to ratchet up the heat on the DEC until they stop the status quo and build up their ability to actually monitor and enforce, the parts of the process that work for people until many more people who otherwise are going to get hurt are actually protected by our state officials. At the moment, they're not resourced properly with manpower or with money. And it matters with boots on the ground how things go when things go wrong. And so that's been a big part of my perspective all through this process. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think that, Dr. Bishop, I think there are some questions there. And as far as the groundwater studies or any studies of contamination, I'll give you my card because I want to see them.
Okay.
All right, now two, this question of whether the DEC is gonna have the manpower. I see that as a little bit of a chicken and egg problem. You know, one of the things why I think natural gas is so good for us is the fact that if we could take and develop that resource, we know we're gonna have to use fossil fuel for at least another 30 or 40 years. It's a matter of whether we wanna use coal, foreign oil, natural gas, because right now 1% of our energy in the United States is produced by renewable energy. I would love to see renewable energy in the next 30 years be 80%. And I would suggest that if we move forward like with the natural gas, make sure that our politicians take some of the tax money and put it toward renewables. So that we can use this money to get us to where we want to go. Because renewables is the way to go. Whether it's geothermal, tidal, whatever, solar, wind, we need it all. And we need to not allow this natural gas to just fixate our addiction and not do something with the monies that we have. But also, as these taxes and revenues come in, then hopefully we'll have more money to hire more people for the DEC so that we can watch these things even closer. But as far as no legal remedies to someone that is harmed by it, we have trespass, we have nuisance. Believe me, there will be attorneys that will be more than happy if you've got a good case of groundwater contamination, that they'll come in and represent you if you're willing to give them 30% what you get with what you get in court. They're called trial attorneys. They're one of the evils that America wants to get rid of. Well, be careful of what you wish for, guys. If you get rid of the trial attorneys, then what happens to the poor farmer who has the daughter comes home from school and is hit by a drunk driver? The only reason why there's the ambulance chasers, trial attorneys, they're the only ones that are going to protect the poor landowner who gets groundwater contamination. They're the only ones that's going to protect the poor farmer whose daughter is hit by a DUI guy. So if you purge the trial attorneys, then you're going to be on your own if something happens to you.
Can I weigh in on